But the three major things that we disagree on, and when you're just having casual conversations with people, these are probably the topics you want to just steer clear of. Is number one race, number two politics, and number three religion.
And which I argue, well, probably all three of those, you grow as an individual more than any other conversation that you're having in your life in those three topics. So break those three topics down, man.
Yeah, the first one I hit was race, and like I said, I wrote this back in 2015. I wanted this to be just for the average layman, and I think just coming from my own cultural experience, wanting to balance theology with just the practicality of, so often when we think of, the Bible, it's just this lofty thing, when no, it's like, because God is immutable, it's relevant for us here and now.
Right.
And so the Bible even deals with issues of race.
Right.
And when we look at scripture, it's like, how does the Bible handle that? Because the paradigm that the Bible puts forth, we just go completely left. And so, just like I said, just the past couple years, not that racism has never been an issue, it's always been an issue.
Right.
I think with technology, we can't avoid it anymore. As much as we want to ignore it, it's right there for us to see. And so you want to have these conversations, especially you want to have these conversations where you feel comfortable having these conversations where someone doesn't have to say, man, why are you always bringing up race? Or, I don't understand what you mean by white privilege, or whatever the case is, where it's like you want to have just open and honest conversation. And that's kind of where I go, where it's like, so oftentimes we don't even want to have the conversation. And I'm not naive enough to think simply having a conversation solves anything.
Right.
But I've got friends who are of different ethnicities, and just talking to them, getting them to see my vantage point, their vantage point. We may not agree, but just simply having the conversation and just seeing how things, because the argument that I make is we just don't know. We just kind of assume upon somebody else, as opposed to getting to actually know them as a human being. We have these misconceptions of a black person or a white person, as opposed to just having a conversation, realizing that we kind of have a lot more in common than we differ. And even though we have differences, these should be celebrated. We shouldn't just seek to ignore it. No, we're different.
How do you embrace a person that you totally disagree with? Is it what you said recently just about the human being part of it? Or how do you fully embrace? Are we fully embracing the person when we disagree with them? Or are we just saying, you know what? I disagree with you, but I embrace you because I have to? Or do I embrace you because we're the same?
Yeah, I think,
even though we think differently,
it's valuing it. And this is the beauty that I love about the chapters, because it all kind of, there's that central theme of what gives you worth and value. That this person is made in the image of God. Even though I disagree with them, I can still honor and respect them.
Right.
I don't have to agree with you on everything.
Right.
But I ought to respect you. I ought to honor you.
And actually, that should be a prerequisite. Almost, it's just going to be, it is what it is. But I respect you, I'll honor you, and I'll serve you and be your friend, because actually we're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Man, you get into some heavy topics in here. So first off, let's deal with, because you talked about knowledge is essential, especially when it comes to the race, the politics, and the religion. So let's just kind of deal with it. Let's go in.
Yeah.
Man, you talk about you said the two most explosive political topics generally center on the rights of women and same-sex couples. Let's deal with what your perspective is on women.
Yeah, and just to wrap up the issue of race, like you said, you hit it right on the head. This knowledge, we don't know what another person goes through, because I think so oftentimes we say you don't know my experiences, you don't
Right.
know what's going on with me, and it's like I guess we'll just give just a real example. We see police brutality against minorities, unarmed minorities. And as those who are minorities, I think we have a tendency to just view things from the minority's perspective. And we don't stop, whether whoever's in the right or wrong, just try to see things from the other vantage point. Try to see things from the officer's point of view, not to give them a pass, not to give them an excuse, but simply to say they've got a hard job. They've got an extremely hard job, and the rotten ones make it hard for the really good ones. And I don't want to put in just those good cop, bad cop, but just for the sake of this, we've got cops who abuse their authority, and because they abuse their authority, they're representative of the rest of the police force. And so we see one person who does this, and it's like all cops are like this. Likewise, they look at someone in our community, one knucklehead does this, they think all of us are like that.
All of us do the same.
All of us do the same thing. So there's a disconnect on both sides where they're coming from their presuppositions and we're coming from our presupposition. All y'all are like the ones I seen that killed that unarmed person.
Right.
Not all cops are like that.
Right.
I remember my father, he was here. It was during, Matthew, the Hurricane Matthew. Got water in his tank. Car just shut down in the middle of the road. And it's a really busy road. And I've got to come and I got to get him. And because he's like in the middle of the road, we need to have the cops come and assist us. And it's like, how is this interaction gonna go? Because my father, he already kind of pissed, how's this interaction gonna go? Cop came, wonderful dude, helped us get out the way, and it's like, thank you, sir, I appreciate you. And I think so oftentimes we already just have this bent towards, I don't like the cops, I don't like, X, Y, and Z, because we have this prejudice against them. And it's like, that can't be the case, man. We've got to understand that, yes, there were some people who did wrong as far as police officers. And then even on our side, there's people who did wrong. And we just can't do these prejudices because there are differences that we do have. And we've got to be able to work through that. And I think just communication, knowledge, seeking, because I don't think most people think from the vantage point of a police officer that you can say what you want, but a lot of times these dudes are scared. These dudes just wanting to get home to their family. And so for them, it's like, it's either going to be you or me. And I think sometimes they use excessive force, but in their mind, this is, how I'm going to get home to my family. And I think we've got to understand it, not necessarily agree, but just seek to understand things from their perspective, because we need police authority. We need that.
Right.
And so just having that communication, even though there's that those differences, whether it's just cultural differences or whatever it may be, but just working through that in knowledge, just understanding is key. So just remember that theme of just knowledge and just knowing. And so when we come from moving from race to politics.